We are from different cultures. Rachel's from the US, Mississippi. I am from Brazil, Curitiba. And so as we got married, we had a lot of things to work through. When we were dating, we could kind of tell what those differences were, but not really. You just really find out when you're living with the person 24/7. We're pretty religious. We never did anything sex or anything. We never lived together before getting married. We got engaged very quickly.
We got married after 8 months.
8 months. So after 8 months of really starting dating, which we started dating a week after going on a first date, 8 months of knowing each other, we got married. And so we had a lot of shit to find out about each other as we got married. But let's go through the list, I guess, and like what are the biggest differences that you've seen between our cultures?
Yeah, and I think too, like you said in the beginning, I mean, he's from a very specific part of Brazil. I'm from Mississippi, so I think a lot of these things, it might not even be like country cultural. It might even just be like regions of where we are, or the way that we're raised. But one of the things that I noticed for me is that for Benjor, like you and your family and people in Brazil, like they're so obsessed with like food. Like they're amazing cooks. My mother-in-law is an incredible cook, and like food is a really big part of their culture, their family. And I don't know, for me, like maybe I'm just American or maybe it's just my family, but like you give me cereal and like a sandwich, I'm fine. Like that's a great dinner for me. Like I don't have any issues with it. Like for him, like a meal for him is like you have the meat and you have the side and you have another side and then you have this and a dessert, and it's like that was a lot because I never cooked for anybody, barely myself, and then I get married and it's like I want to be a good wife, but the expectations were like very different than what like I thought making a sandwich for my husband was dinner.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a big difference. I remember on my mission we were LDS Mormon, and on my mission I had companions eating peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. I was like, what the heck? Like that's maybe breakfast, but not lunch. Serious, not lunch. And so, and I honestly thought that was kind of like a class thing. Like maybe they just grew up without money. But then I've met a lot of people with tons of money, and all their kids were literally like I would go to their home during lunchtime, and I wouldn't smell one single thing of trade of food. I would literally like see them microwaving something. And they had like 5 kids, they each got their own little thing in the microwave, and that was their lunch. And
that's so convenient, and you don't have to clean up afterwards, and everyone can eat what they want because you can choose what you want from the freezer. I think it's great.
Well, and here's the thing, I think that's why Brazilians are in general a lot healthier, skinnier than Americans are. And they live like anybody in Brazil that doesn't have money still eats 10 times better than rich Americans. Second thing is that Brazilians are very tidy, very clean people. You can go to the ghetto, to the favela, and you're gonna see very humble houses that are very clean. It doesn't matter how much money you have, they're pretty crazy about cleanness. And in the US, it's the opposite. Like it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're probably not gonna have a very tidy home unless you're the exception. Now again, back to when I was a missionary, I started in Utah. I go to this really nice house in Sandy. They had some castles there that were beautiful. And I had the habit of like, whenever I peed in the bathroom, I would grab some toilet paper and clean their toilet because it was always disgusting, like all these hairs, and like it looked like they hadn't cleaned it for months. And I see that very often anywhere I go in the US, like in homes, whereas in Brazil it's very different.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between like tidy. Like I think most Americans are tidy. Like you come in and unless they have like 10 children, things are gonna be nice. But like there's this thing in Brazil, it's like this deep cleaning daily that I don't feel like is necessary.
Well,
I feel like there's clean and there's like OCD.
That's my mom's obsession.
No, because I follow a lot of Brazilian. Even today there's a girl that I followed, and she was like, things that I miss about Brazil living in the US, like being able to clean my whole bathroom with like a bucket of water because like there's tile.
Yeah, the deep cleaning.
Yeah, and like it's just I think it's a cultural thing. Like they love to clean so deep, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think deep cleaning is good, but like every single day, like deep cleaning, like
yeah,
I think think it's a lot.
Yeah, and I think every day is definitely a lot. Now, once a week is probably the bare minimum.
Well, and I
In
think
America, it's probably once every 6 months. So
but I did get super lucky because he doesn't like really complain about these things. Like Benjor's amazing; he cooks for us. He does a ton of the cleaning too, and so like he doesn't like sit and complain about these things. So I did get very lucky that I
sometimes I do, but not usually.
blessed.
I'm pretty.
No, you usually
accepting of
don't.
it.
No, you actually are super considerate of it, which is nice because it just doesn't come to my mind. Like I'll clean. And he'll come back and like clean up after me. Like I'll sweep or do something and it's like I already did that. But it's not to like the level of cleanliness, which like that's not a negative for me. It's more of a negative for you.
Yeah.
Go with it, but
Yeah, and you have definitely gotta tolerate, especially the lack of cooking. I think, and I never cared, right? Like when I was dating, I was never looking for a cook, and so that was never like a big thing for me. But yeah, that's definitely. I guess we did have a lot of arguments when we first got married because like when you cook 7 times a week for your spouse, you kind of want it back once in a while.
Because I don't really like the things that like we cook like rice and
because we also
chicken.
cook healthy. But when we were dating, you just ate McDonald's every day, like literally every day. Her lunch was a hamburger for $1 from McDonald's.
Chicken. It was $1 McChicken
Okay,
and
there
a
you go.
$1 Coke.
McChicken. My lunch is like chicken with salad. Grilled chicken, so it's actually
not
healthy.
the same though. It's not a McChicken delicious.
It is not, and that's why you lost
It's
weight,
like-
became energetic. Yeah, we got married. She definitely had an upgrading her health and energy, and that's because of the food.
Probably.
And so
I'm not saying
it
it's
works.
not.
I'm not saying it's the most delicious food, but it's definitely
not. That's
healthy.
why. Like it's kind of like if you like something, you do it, right? No one has to force you to watch your favorite TV show. You just do it. And it's like cooking for me. I hate it. I hate it. I have like burns all over my hands from trying to get out a pizza out of the oven. Like, I just hate cooking. So to have to do something you hate every single day, and it's food you don't like, when I could take 5 minutes and I put it in the microwave and I get chicken fucking nuggets and they're delicious.
Yes.
You know? But
And that's
the
why everybody in
trade-off.
the US has cancer, because they only eat chicken nuggets for lunch. So that's one of the
We're
biggest
working on
differences
it.
as well.
We're working on finding a healthy balance.
Yeah, and we are. Honestly, I just like to meal prep, so I just cook like 2 or 3 times a week. And then we just have some chicken in the fridge, and then we'll eat that with salad or like a burrito of rice or a protein bowl. So it's pretty easy, honestly. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Next thing.
I think something that for Benjor, and I don't know if this is like his family specifically, I think it's a lot of Brazilians that I know actually, because we had some Brazilians staying with us for a while that were our friends, and they're kind of like this too. I think Brazilians are more, I'll say like resilient, like in the sense that they don't, like things just roll off their back. Like they don't really get offended easily. And I think, speaking for myself here, I'm somebody who gets probably more offended than a Brazilian. So let's say, for example, Brazilians will like call you fat, like "Oi gordo," but it's like to be funny, like "Hey fatty," but like in America,
Which
we would
I
never
think
do
is
that.
odd, to be honest. I do think that's odd, but it is true that people do it a lot and they don't really get offended by it. Except for they probably do, but they don't. They're just used to it, right?
Like your sister is the nicest person I know. She's so sweet and she's so nice. But they all call like one of their friends like fatty. And it's like
Oh,
Gordo.
the guy.
Yeah, the guy who came on the boat. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Which
he's
is
so
like
nice, but why'd she call him fat?
It's a cute thing, but it's not,
It's not
right?
cute.
It's not cute to call somebody fat.
But here's the thing, like I think Brazilians would get called like a nickname, like hey ugly or something, and they're just gonna be like, ah ha ha.
They just laugh it out. And the cool thing is, I will say, people will only pick on you in Brazil if they like you and they feel like they're close enough. And so like you can tell you're really becoming family or really close when they do that. Because if they're being more polite or like less intimate in that way, then you know that you're not really that close. But I do
one of
agree
your
that it's not-
family members saw me drinking soda, and she was like, I thought you were trying to get rid of your cellulite. I'm like, what the fuck? Get away from me! Give me my
Yeah.
fucking Coke! Like,
I
are you
know.
sure you want a Coke?
They're definitely very straightforward, and that's for
Yeah.
good and for bad, right? So I think one of the biggest things is that they really tell you how they're feeling or what they think. When sometimes Brazilians shouldn't be that straightforward, right? Like we don't need to know, keep your opinion to yourself. But other times I'd also get annoyed when we first got married that you'd be too like going around the bush, not telling what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Instead of like telling me, hey, this is how I feel, this is what needs to change. So it's just that directness in communication that's also pretty different. Now, before I forget, I'm dressed like this because I have a song coming out that is called I Am Not Depressed. I'm Not Depressed. Now, this here is gonna make sense in that song, but speaking of like being a little more sensitive and people in Brazil being a little more resilient, more tough, like tough skin, not getting offended, and I think just dealing with challenges in life a little easier than a lot of Americans. This song is really about how depression is a state of mind. Now, that does not mean that it's not a real illness, as some people do have, imbalances in their brain and all that. Now, what that does mean is that I've worked with so many people in my business that were struggling with depression symptoms, right? I have a lot of sadness for a long period of time. I felt that way before. Rachel has felt that way before. But when they put that thing on their forehead, I'm depressed. I'm feeling this way because I'm depressed. And they really remind themselves all the time that they have this fucking illness that's part of their DNA. That doesn't serve them. That keeps them in the fucking hole because they don't really see a way out because it is just who they are, how they were made, how their brain works, which is fucking BS. And so this song is really to help people to take that title out of their forehead, throw in the trash, and accept that sadness is part of life, right? We all go through tons of challenges. We both have very like dark moments in our lives and in our marriage where we felt really, really sad for a long period of time, but that's just part of life. It doesn't make us depressed. It just makes us sad, and we can work through that if we just accept the feeling, work it out. So go to benjor.com/music, benjor.com/music. So you follow me on Spotify and all the platforms, and you see when that's coming out. So this is gonna make sense pretty soon.
And that song is so much fun. Like we were just recording it, and it's such a vibe. The music video is fun. The song is a lot of fun. So you're really gonna enjoy it. I think that's actually a good segue because for me, like I am somebody, and I've been super open about it. Like I think growing up, the whole idea of like depression and like therapy and all these things were kind of like taboo. So I've been a lot more open about it because like I take antidepressants just because they keep me from getting into like that dark place that I get sometimes. And I think because Brazilians are usually more like energetic and like more resilient and those kind of things, like I felt like when we were married at the beginning, there's a little bit of like the disconnect of like feeling like I'm in a really dark place, and it's kind of like, you'll be fine, like just get out of bed, like just do it. And it's like I literally can't, like I don't want to. And I think that's the thing that just culturally I think is different, because I think, not to say that we're Americans are like weak, but I definitely think there's a mental fortitude that Brazilians have that I think maybe we could be better at understanding. When there's a difference between like mental fortitude and like you're actually like really just not feeling it.
Yeah, and I think that part of I definitely had some lack of empathy when we first got married because I didn't know what it was like to feel really sad, very low. And then as we went on our marriage and I felt really lost with my business, I didn't know what I was doing in my life. I had like all these questions about like what I was gonna do with my career. That got me to a really dark place because I'm very like goal driven, and feeling lost really made me feel like, what am I doing here? And so that like going that low made me understand the feelings a lot better and have more empathy now and later on. I get it, definitely like lacked empathy in the beginning until you go through like some similar feelings and then you understand a lot better. It's a lot easier to be nice. But I will say that I think a lot of that resilience comes from having more challenges since like a young age, which I can really relate. Like when you think of a third world country, you think of like, oh, things are a lot harder, the economy is harder, so you gotta like work through things a lot easier and you're a lot more positive because you have to be. And I've been pretty privileged, like I've always had a very nice life in Brazil. But I think like the overall mentality is a bit more go-getter than it is in the US, right? Where people do feel like they can go and get their own opportunities in life rather than waiting for people to hand it to them.
Yeah, like when you take action, you feel better. And I think it's hard because a lot of times, at least for me, I feel like things are going great in life and I still feel sad and I don't know why. And I think with you, a lot of it is like, oh, because like you were lost, but like as you took action, you were feeling better. And I think that definitely helps taking action. But sometimes, at least for me, it's like, damn, like I'm sad and I really shouldn't be because I have all these things going for me and I'm really happy. Like I should be really happy, but there's just like something going on that like you just can't quite pull yourself out. But taking action does help a lot, which is actually where your club helped me a lot. Just like taking consistent action, even if you don't feel like it, and it can be really hard when you are feeling really depressed to like force yourself to get up and do something. Like I think your club really helped me out a lot of that. Like having a list of like, okay, like at the bare minimum, just like do this or do this or do this. And that's what I really loved about like Benjor goals. That helped me a lot if you want to tell them about like.
Yeah, well, I do have a club called the Reality Engineers Club where we help you really establish those consistent actions, things for you to do daily for your health, your mental health, your physical health, and for your finances. Maybe you want to launch a business, maybe you want to, grow in a company. Usually they want to grow like a more entrepreneurial type of thing or their own business they already have while getting their mental health in the right place. And really discovering like what's the underlying reason of how you're feeling. Because I feel like when we have like deeper conversations, when we get to those lower places, we can always figure out why we're feeling that way.
Yeah.
It's not easy to like go against that feeling, but we can always figure out why we're feeling the way we are, which for me is usually when there's a lack of hope in the future, where like you had this vision, this idea for yourself, and then you feel like you, for some reason, you're not gonna get there. There's lack of confidence in the vision, or there's lack of clarity. You feel kind of lost, like where am I really going? I think that's when I felt lower. My clients have as well, and you from our conversation. So we really help you in the club be able to gain that clarity, develop that confidence in yourself, and then take the actions you need to be successful, to get to a better place. So benjor.com/club is where you can start a free trial, go through that training, uncover those reasons, and take massive action.
Yeah, like I really think getting in and even just doing a free trial just to like start feeling better, because I think once you take action, you really do start to slowly get out of the funk. So even just trying it, like I know it can be like, well, I don't want to like sign up for something and like commit months and months if I don't even know how I'm going to be feeling 2 weeks from now, right? But I think that's why the 2 weeks is really cool, to give yourself that timeline to be like, okay, like within 2 weeks, I really am hoping that I am going to be feeling better. And then you do want to stay, because then you are like, okay, like I can feel the depression like going away and I can feel more action coming through. So I think the club is just really helpful for that. Something that I absolutely love culturally about Brazil is I think that they care a lot about their physical appearance. And I'm not even talking about like plastic surgery and Botox and things, even like getting their nails done. Like you're hard pressed to find a Brazilian woman who doesn't always have her nails done or her hair done, or they're just dressed nice. Like you don't go to the Walmart here and see people in pajamas. Like no, I've never seen that here.
It's
That's
true.
like ridiculous. Like,
and it's not like they overdress, right? Because they can look really cheesy if you're overdressing for the groceries, but they look presentable and nice, right?
Like, we are fine in the US, and look, I love it because there's times I go to Walmart and I look like a raccoon who came out of the garbage in like holy sweatpants, and like I look like a freak, and that's great. Like there's a time and a place. You're just not gonna find that here. And I think we could definitely take a note from Brazilian women and men too. Like I feel like men also just
A little better.
the socks and sandal thing just isn't a thing here. They have basic style.
Yeah, and we personally now we do like to be kind of trashy most of the time, and then over the top at other times,
There's
right?
no in between. It's like you look like a skunk or you look like you're going to the Met Gala, but I can't do, there's no such thing as in between for me.
I know, like we'll look pretty trashy most of the time, and then we like to go very overboard with some weird shit sometimes. But it is true that most men and women here will be a lot more careful about their appearance. They'll just try a little harder and look a little nicer most of the times.
Yeah, and we talked about this in our last podcast. If you want to check that out, if you haven't, we talked a lot about plastic surgery, a lot of the plastic surgery that we've had done. And I think just, again, going back to Brazilian culture, so open about that. Like, everybody gets Botox here, and like pretty much everyone, even the guys here, like you have guy friends who've had plastic surgery, and I would like never think like nose jobs or like getting their ears pinned back. Like things that you would never think of a guy doing in the US. Like
straight guys too, not just gay or
yeah, like they're not metro, right? They're like just masculine men who are like, yeah, like if I could change this, why would I not change that? And so I think that that's such a cool part of the culture. And it's kind of like it reminds me a lot of when I lived in LA. Like everyone is so hot that like you feel like you need to do these things, not from like a sense of shame or guilt, but everyone around you looks so good. Like we have a view of the beach, and every morning I'm just like looking out the window at all the hot people walking by, and I'm like, yeah, like I need to like keep up my game. So I think it's like a good thing. I think it's a good thing to want to, because I feel like when you look better, you feel better, you do better. So that's part of the culture that I just feel like I think is awesome. I love that part.
It's true, and that has to do as well with your wigs. So tell us about what's going on there.
Yeah, speaking of looking like trash or looking like treasure, I love having my rosette hairpiece. What it is it's a massive, huge density half wig that you can clip into your hair, and it takes 10 seconds to do, but you're going to look like you actually care and you've done your hair, as opposed to going out in a messy bun, which no hate on the messy bun. There's a time and a place for the messy bun. I rock the messy bun all the time, but if you want to look really cute, but you want to do it in like 5 seconds, you don't have time, then go to rosette.co, because I have exactly what you need. And it's just fun. You know, you can try out different colors, you can do it up, you can wear it down. I'm wearing it in a ponytail right now. There's just a lot of different things that you can do with it. And so rosette.co is where you can check all of that out.
Next biggest difference that we've seen with our cultures is that Americans are really, really good at giving words of affirmation. So being very kind and generous with their words. I think most Americans are pretty good at giving that to other people. Whereas Brazilians, because they're more straightforward, they can be a lot more rude with their words. But on the other hand, Brazilians are really good with serving people, just doing things for them. Whereas Americans, I think, can be less about service and more about words. And words that sometimes don't feel very genuine. And so I think Brazilians can be like, even though they can be more rude at times, they're also very genuine. So like if they give you a compliment, they really mean it. Whereas Americans like can be a lot kinder, but you never really know if it's true because they've said some things that don't really make sense. Just trying to be kind, but not really being honest.
Yeah, and I wonder for you listening, if you have a preference. I actually would be really interested to know, because for me, my preference, maybe that's how I was raised, I would prefer you're nice to my face and you talk shit about me behind my back than like you say nothing to me. You know, and I think too, because he's so great with service, and it kind of goes back to like Brazilians, I think, are better action takers than Americans. Like the way that they show that they love you is not through words that like don't have any meaning behind them. Like they'll show you by like doing service and like helping you with your house or helping you with a project, or like I remember when we were married and you were mad at me and we were fighting, but you still helped me with my math homework for college. Like, they will say, like, you're fucking stupid, I fucking hate you, and then they'll, like, still make you food and things like that. So I think it's something that I, you know, probably prefer more of the words, but I don't know, for you watching, I actually would really love to know what you think. I'm words, you're definitely service, yeah.
Definitely.
Look how cute she
I know, she's really cute. She's playing my octopus. I have the octopussy here and the octopus, and you guys are gonna understand what that means in this video.
Don't be an octopussy.
Don't be an octopussy!
You guys can't even see Foxy's been sitting down there this whole time.
I have both our dogs here. But that's our video. Those are the biggest differences that we've noticed in these 6 years of our marriage. Now, tell us your differences if you've been married, if you've been dating somebody from another culture, not a Brazilian-American couple as well. Let us know in the comments what those are. And anything else that we should cover in this next videos, any curiosities, let us know. I'm Benjor Rosette on Instagram for the business stuff. For the music stuff, Benjor Rosette, Rachel Rosette on Instagram. Yes, Benjor Music, Benjor Rosette, Rachel Rosette. So follow us there as well so you can see more content daily and subscribe for more.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.